Unit 4 Study Guide, question number 10. Amber works at an ice cream shop. The hours worked and wages earned are shown in the graph. Okay, so we have a graph of her information. Notice the axis is the number of hours worked. The y-axis, the amount of pay in dollars. Question A, determine if Amber's wages are proportional to the time. If they are, determine the unit rate. If not, explain why they are not. So I would hope you guys would be great with just looking at this and saying it is a straight line going through the origin. So yes, this is proportional. Don't forget to do the second part of it. If it is proportional, you have to determine the unit rate, and they give you, again, an important piece of information here. You're doing it as y over x, which is the normal thing that we use for a unit rate. That is the normal way we set up a unit rate. So, the unit rate, you could use any of these ordered pairs to find the unit rate, but you should really use one where you can clearly read the information. At this spot, you can read both the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate very clearly. So that is a really good one to use. You could use this one, which would be, even at that, that's where x is 1. This will be our unit rate. But if that dot were not quite as easy to read and know exactly or have a good idea of what that number is, you could have a slight error there. So it's better to read one that you can clearly and for certain know. Again, okay, so you want to find the unit rate. The rate you have, y over x, she gets paid $14 for 2 hours of work. Change that into a unit rate. You want to know how much she gets paid in 1 hour. You need to divide by 2. Do the same thing to the top. 14 divided by 2 gives you $7 per hour. That is your unit rate. And again, labels matter on rates, so be sure you have that labeled, $7 per hour. And again, back to the graph. Yeah, that does make sense. Looks like you're halfway between 6 and 7 at that dot. When she is working 1 hour, she gets paid $7. When x is 1, y is your unit rate. So it does match up. How much would Amber make after working 8 hours? Her graph doesn't go up to 8 hours. This is $8. She works some amount of time to get $8. That's not what we're being asked for. We want to know how much she would get paid for 8 hours. Go back to your unit rate, or you could go back to this rate. Both of them would work nicely. $7 for 1 hour. You want equivalent ratios, or when you have two equivalent ratios, you have a proportion. You want a proportion, and you want to know how much when the hours, which are on the bottom, when she has 8 hours of work, how many dollars would she be paid? It's equivalent ratios or equivalent fractions. You could look at it and say, what would I do to 1 to make it become 8? You would multiply it by 8. Do the same thing to the top then. Multiply the top by 8. 7 times 8. 7 times 8. Remember your easy way to remember that. Again, when I was young, I always had trouble remembering that. A few number of years ago, students told me, Mr. K, it's easy. It is just 5, 6, 7, 8. And what they were trying to point out to me is that 7 times 8 gives you 56. So that is it. When she works 8 hours, she would get paid $56. Okay? And question C, what does the point 214 represent in the graph? Important thing here, labels. Remember, this is the x-coordinate, this is the y-coordinate. Your x-axis up here in your graph is the number of hours worked. So our x-coordinate here is the number of hours she works, and the y-coordinate, looking at your axis, is the amount she gets paid. So this is her pay. No, I don't want you to leave your answer like that. Make a statement. What does it represent? It says that when Amber works 2 hours, that's what the x-coordinate means, she gets paid $14. Okay, you should make a sentence something like that. On to the next question, question 11. Purple paint is made from mixing red paint and blue paint. The diagram below shows the relationship between the amount of red paint and the amount of blue paint needed to make purple paint. What fraction of each gallon of purple paint is red paint? Each gallon, we're talking about 1 gallon. We're looking for a unit rate. How much red paint is there in 1 gallon of purple paint? And what you know from your diagram is they're using this much red paint, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of red paint to 3 parts of blue paint. When we did a problem like this in class, one of my kids said, well, could that be gallons? Yes, it could be. So you're having 5 gallons of red paint, and you're going to mix that with 3 gallons of blue paint. And the thing you have to realize is, how many gallons of purple paint would that make? That's going to be 5 plus 3, 5 red plus 3 blue. You're going to come up with 8 gallons of purple. But the thing is, you need a unit rate. What you know right now then is that it takes 5 gallons of red to make 8 gallons of purple. You want the unit rate. You want to know how many gallons does it take to make 1 gallon of purple, how many gallons of red to make 1 gallon of purple. So you want to divide by 8. Divide by 8. I probably should have looked at what they're looking for an answer. Put your answer in the box. They're looking for a fraction answer. So instead of going to a decimal here, just go to a fraction. 5 divided by 8 can be written as a fraction. It's 5/8 of a gallon of red of the whole mixture. So 5/8 of the mixture is red. Out of each gallon of purple, that is your answer, 5/8.